taxes going up?
That will be set out in the manifesto.
The principle of it.
It'll be set out in the manifesto.
Well, you set it out in the manifesto. Taxes.
I'm sorry, it'll be set out in the budget on Wednesday.
Is that the painful choice that taxes will be going? The definition is very broad. Who isn't a working person? Who is a person for whom you think taxes should go up?
Well, it is broad, I accept that. But
broad?
No, but when I tell you who's in my mind's eye, which is, and I think everybody watching this will know, whether they're in this category, because you carry in that situation a sort of knot in the bottom of the stomach, which is, if push comes to shove and something happens to me and my family, I can't just get a checkbook out, even though I've maybe got a...
Keir Starmer has just been caught red-handed during one of the most awkward and tough interviews I've watched in years. The reporter didn't hesitate for a second, immediately got to the point, and started asking awkward questions. Each question became more acute, and Starmer seemed to be trying to keep control of the situation. His answers were cautious and unconvincing, which added tension to the conversation. The reporter deftly picked up on every unfortunate word, and it created the feeling that he was trapped.
Fact that our country took out the largest loan it ever has to pay off the slave owners and not the enslaved. So I want to ask the Prime Minister today if he will do what Bernie Grant asked all those years ago, what I have asked and what countless others have asked since, and offer a full and meaningful apology for our country's role in slavery and colonialism and commit to reparatory justice.
Minister. No, Mr. Speaker. What I think our focus should now be on doing is, of course, understanding our history in all its parts, not running away from it, but right now making sure that we have a society which is inclusive and tolerant of people from all backgrounds. That's something that we on this House, our side of the House, are committed to doing and will continue to deliver, but trying to unpick our history is not the right way forward, and it's not something that we will focus our energies on.
Well, we understood what Sunak said. Let's see what Starmer said.
On the question of reparations, obviously it's very important for me to say and to recognise that the slave trade and practice was abhorrent, and that is history. We can't change our history, and we should start from that place. But the question now at this conference is, do we want to focus more on the challenges now, which to my mind are resilience and the climate challenge, and the opportunity of trade, or look backwards? And I say we should look forward.
Yes, he made a lot of promises during the election, but none of them came true.
Here, quite right too.
Your career as a lawyer and your pitch as a politician has always been about justice and doing the right thing. Don't you think that approach, if the Commonwealth, other Commonwealth leaders want to put it in the communique, put it on the table, is a bit arrogant and dismissive to say, I don't want to talk about it?
Well, first thing I'd say is there are 55 countries represented here. There is no one view amongst all 55. There are many different and varied views, and you'd expect that. There are 55 delegations. I've had quite a number of discussions since I've been here. Actually more about trade and opportunities, more about resilience and change.
Starmer himself is very arrogant, and he loves only himself and his family very much. It seems that he hates the people.
And that, yes, we must acknowledge history and absolutely recognise the abhorrence of the slave trade. And that's very important. But at the same time, we have to answer the question, which is being put to me, which is, how can you help us with resilience now? Because we've got, a flood problem that's measured in years.
This man has made disastrous decisions in the last 4 months in office, but at least someone was able to stop him from dealing with reparations issues. Now let's pay attention to the tax risks they mentioned, as well as the difficult decisions regarding the budget.
In August, in the Downing Street Garden, you talked about painful choices coming in the budget. It was a hint of tax rises on the way. You didn't say it out loud. Will you level with us now? Are taxes going to be going up?
The budget will be set out by the Chancellor on the 30th. The
principle of it.
But what I was talking about when I was speaking at Downing Street, and what I've said ever since, is this. We've inherited a very bad situation here. The economy is broken, and we've discovered there's a £22 billion black hole.
To date, this situation has become a real meme. Why not just freeze wage increases if there are plans to raise taxes to cover this financial hole? Even Sunak decided to express his opinion, and real unrest began in Parliament. Starmer, however, chose a different path, to deprive low-income pensioners of the winter fuel allowance, in order to redistribute this money for salary increases due to inflation. At the same time, his expression clearly does not express approval. He looks tired and dissatisfied with the challenges that politics poses to him. Starmer, in fact, has many opportunities to find solutions within the framework of budget management. The various sources of financing available to Rachel Reeves range from day-to-day expenses to investments. However, the current management loses out in using these resources as efficiently as possible. There are a lot of reserves that he could use. For example, abandoning the carbon project could close this financial hole, which amounts to exactly £22 billion. However, this has not been done so far. It's hard not to wonder, why aren't old strategies being reviewed when the same situation creates new problems over and over again?
My approach, the Chancellor's approach, is to acknowledge that problem, run towards it and fix it.
Yes,
so that we can fix the foundations.
Are taxes
and on
going
that,
up beyond what you said in the manifesto?
We will then rebuild the country.
Are taxes going up?
That will be set out in the manifesto.
The principle of it?
It'll be set out in the manifesto.
Well, you set it out in the manifesto, taxes
I'm sorry, it'll be set out in the budget on Wednesday.
Is that the painful choice, that taxes will be going up? I'm not asking you to set out what they are, but just the principle of it.
Well, the principle we put in place is that there's a £22 billion black hole and we've got to
So taxes are going up?
Well, we're also clear that we're not returning to austerity.
He might as well stand up and let Rishi Sunak interview him if he continues to blame him for every decision he makes. It's amazing how he evades a frank answer to a single question, resorting to his usual manipulations. Starmer cannot explain why raising taxes has become the least painful solution to the problem. This only confirms that one more of his promises remained unfulfilled. He doesn't seem to be able to honestly admit his mistakes and get out of the trap of his own words. Instead, he continues to craft vague phrases that do not give a clear picture of reality. The loss of trust on the part of voters is becoming more and more obvious, and Starmer risks being isolated. It's time for him to take responsibility and answer important questions directly before he finds himself in a deep political crisis.
You know, people will be watching this, and then when you put taxes up, and you won't say in principle, yeah, look, they're going to have to go up, and you'll get more detail.
I appreciate that,
but
I appreciate that. But you know, and I know, that no government before a budget sets out what's going to be in the budget.
I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you about the principle. You said to me in Grimsby, all our plans are fully funded, fully costed, fully funded. We do not raise taxes on working people. No rises for income tax, national insurance, for VAT. That's still the case. But are other taxes going up?
I said that to you in Grimsby. I think I said it to you everywhere we met in the entire campaign.
Are other taxes going up?
And I'll absolutely repeat that. For working people, we made an absolute commitment that their income tax wouldn't go up, their national insurance wouldn't go up.
It's funny how a person can play with words. I'm genuinely curious how he chooses which of his promises to break last. He probably evaluates which promise brings him the greatest benefit, and which one can be sacrificed without significant damage to his image. It becomes a real game of balancing personal gain and social pressure.
Prime Minister, are you a working person?
Well, I would define a working person as somebody goes out and earns their living, usually paid in a sort of monthly cheque. But I think that's obviously very broad, so let me be clear. What I mean, or if you like, who I have in my mind's eye when I make decisions as Prime Minister, are the sorts of working people who go out, work hard, and maybe save a bit of money, but don't have the wherewithal to write a cheque to get out of difficulties if they and their family get into difficulties.
That definition...
That's who I have in my mind. People who've got that anxiety, if you like, in the bottom of their stomach that says, we're doing all right, but should something happen to me and my family, I haven't actually got the wherewithal to get out of that.
It is obvious that the Prime Minister and his team are unable to sincerely admit their mistakes and have broken their own promises. Of course, the migration situation continues to escalate the situation. How can you not notice that instead of solving problems with illegal immigration, they are only driving themselves into a corner? As a result, the discontent of society only increases, and this turns into a toxic state for the entire political system. How many more promises have to collapse before someone realizes that just throwing away problems won't make them go away? The time for words has come to an end. A real action is required to regain the trust of the population. It should be clear to everyone that further tax increases will only worsen the situation, making businesses less attractive, and this will only lead to a new wave of layoffs and a lack of funding for public services. Gradually, we risk finding ourselves in a situation where cries for help will be drowned out by political maneuvers. If this trend continues, we may be on the verge of economic and social collapse. Therefore, at the moment it is required not just to talk, but to act in order to ensure the future that everyone so persistently dreams of. What do you think about this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you.